Legend of Snack says, "Hey Brad, what are your views on Metal Gear Solid 5? Do you think Hideo should continue with the Metal Gear Solid series or start a new project?" I would like him to do Zone of the Enders 3, like a lot of people, or a new Snatcher or a new Police Nuts. But, Metal Gear Solid, all the Metal Gear Solid games are different and new and fresh when they come out, and nothing like the previous ones that even if he did a fifth one, it's not like it's going to be more of the same. That series has never been more of the same. Sure, some of the story stuff is a little tired, so maybe I'd like him to see him do some new stuff with story related shit, but I'm not bummed out about seeing another Metal Gear Solid game. I think anyone should be excited about that. Running out of time, I'm probably going to cut this into 2 parts for you guys. But next question. Twistamafu in chat says, he just started playing Diablo 2 for the first time with his friends. Dear God, help me. He says, but we're having trouble deciding on what classes to play. What are some good co-op class combos to go through the game with? Oh, man. I don't have enough time on the internet to answer that question appropriately. But, let me pause that. So I'm not going to answer it. I will just start by saying, I don't know. All classes work well together. I don't know. If you're in a group, maybe make sure you have a paladin. I don't know what else to tell you. Some of my favorite classes were, I like so many classes. I don't really know where to start. And it depends on what patch, like pre 1.1. Okay. I need to stop. Maybe make a Windy Druid. Those are pretty cool. Or a Hammerdin. Those are pretty OP. Trabasons are okay if you build them right. Maybe make a Blizzard Sork and do Mephisto runs. Okay, stop. Brandon asks, are you looking forward to Dragon's Dogma or Asura's Wrath? If either, what are your reasoning for it? I'm very much looking forward to Dragon's Dogma. It being kind of like this, open world RPG, action RPG with battles that are kind of like, Monster Hunter meets Shadow of the Colossus. And I think that looks really cool. The team working on it. It's a large team headed up by the guy who directed, the Devil May Cry series after the first one. After Hideki Kamiya went to Clover, which 2, 3, and 4 were excellent. Maybe 2 wasn't, but I don't know. Its inspirations I think are Monster Hunter, Demon Souls, and Western RPG open world design. So I think there's a lot of potential with the game like that. And I played it at E3 last year, and it got a Game of the Year award nominee from us. I really enjoyed what I play of it, so that one's definitely on my radar. Asura's Wrath I played at PAX. I definitely didn't like what I played of the demo. It was mostly like QTE events and cutscenes, and the actual just sort of on the ground brawling wasn't all that fun. But every time I see a trailer of that game, it looks crazier and crazier. So it's definitely one I'm keeping my eye on, but I'm kind of down on until I see something else or new, or I play it again. Essentially, say Mikami asks, where do you think developers should focus their efforts on in the near future? Unique graphics, 1080p at 60 frames, multiplayer, multiplayer and social features, seamlessness, story, or yada, yada, yada. This is a hard, long question. I will say one of the things that I like in games that I don't see a lot of developers doing is maybe not worry so much about, like the finer details of like maybe you don't have to be Uncharted 3, to be running like very smoothly and have like super, detailed graphics. I would like to see more people do things with, take like the Shadow of the Colossus approach, or like like Dark Souls, where they made like a big seamless world with no loading. I think seamlessness is a big thing for me, and I tend to like appreciate a world more if I can sort of understand how everything's connected in my head, and I think how everything's connected in my head, and I think seamlessness is a big part of that. Also, maybe I think it's okay to do something like say Just Cause 2 did, where maybe it wasn't the most densely packed and detailed world, but it was huge. And I think that scale played, a big part of what made that game exciting, because you had all these really cool ways to traverse such a large environment very quickly. I think that sense of scale definitely, and that skybox especially, added a lot to it, because they were more concerned about, they weren't as concerned about, the densely packed details down on the ground. They were more focused on, the grander scale, and I think that added a lot to it. Most developers don't look at it like that. I think the Bethesda with the Elder Scrolls games, they definitely see like big and more and better as bigger and larger scale is okay at the cost of maybe some of the the finer details like the animations and stuff. And I definitely also appreciate that line of thinking. I think the developers should do something different. Quit trying to make it just these cinematic detailed experiences, and try something new, especially with world design. Alex asks about Tag 2 and Arcade UFO. I'm not going there. Sorry. I'll wait till the game comes out late next year. I'll probably pick it up, but again, I'm not going to be playing competitively. Archer asks, hey Brad, I'm a lover of RPGs and strategy RPGs, some of them being Final Fantasy Tactics, Bahamut Lagoon, and Ogre Battle 64. With the recent release of Tactics Let Us Cling Together for the PSP, and with all the many big RPGs titles this year, I can't help but feeling afraid that many JRPGs and tactical RPGs in general will keep being released primarily for handhelds. I know it isn't. This isn't new since JRPG franchises become PSP titles, but do you believe there will ever be a rise to the strategy RPG genre for consoles once more, or am I waiting in vain? Well, I don't think the genre is ever going to be big on consoles again, as I don't think a lot of Japanese franchises, period, are going to be huge on consoles anymore. A lot of Japanese developers moved to the handhelds this past generation, and I think we're going to see that trend continue. But I will say I also love strategy RPGs that sometimes, if you haven't played Valkyria Chronicles, that is essentially like a strategy RPG for PS3, and it was a beautiful game, an excellent game, and I think my favorite of that year. It was a bummer to see that the sequels ended up on PSP, but if you missed that one, definitely go back and try it. But no, yeah, I mean handhelds. That's just where they're gonna be from now on, unless maybe like a download only game. But even that's a rarity. I remember. I think, fucking. What was it called? Yeah, it was Western developed, anyways. Strategy RPG series. Vandal Hearts. They made a third game and released it on XBLA. It wasn't even developed by a Japanese developer. Xbox Live Arcade strategy RPG. I didn't pick it up. I heard it wasn't great, but I definitely don't see that being. You're not going to see that happen a lot. Haas 3000 says, if Avalanche developed Just Cause 3, what is one thing you want to see that it is different from its previous installments? I don't know. Here's what I would like to see. I would like to see Just Cause 3 sort of look at what Volition did with Saints Row and say, you know what? These mechanics, like especially in Just Cause 2, are already so crazy and insane and unbelievable and don't make sense. Let's just go all the way and make it super crazy, like kind of Saints Row 3 did. I would like to see that game not take itself so seriously and just go batshit insane, because I think there's so much potential. I think they have a great set of core mechanics. They have like this amazingly large world that's very destructible or blow upable. Just go crazier with it, all out craziness. That's the best. I think the best way to handle another sequel to Just Cause. Amy asks, what is your favorite survival horror game? What is your opinion on the Silent Hill series? Okay, my favorite survival horror game is probably Fatal Frame, just because I think it's the scariest. And I think there's a lot of things that game does that's really smart that makes it the scariest game. It's not just because I'm afraid of Japanese ghosts. It's a really well-made horror game with, believe it or not, combat, like fighting mechanics that aren't completely abysmal like a lot of other pure survival horror games are. Yet it still manages to be really scary. My opinion on the Silent Hill series, I think that entire series is somewhat overrated. I mean, not great. I know the hardcore fans only love, like, oh, I like 1, 2, and 3, and the others suck. But I guess my favorites are Silent Hill 2 and 4. 2 because I think it has a somewhat interesting story and atmosphere. 4 because I think it's legitimately scary, especially the stuff in the room later on in the game. But all in all, I don't think any of those games are really that amazing, even though I've played all of them. Taylor says, what do you think the reason behind the Half-Life 3 delay is? I don't know if there's been a delay. It has never really been announced. The reason it's been taking so long is probably because Valve is creating a new engine. Source is super old. So, and I can't imagine that Half-Life 3 would be a Source game. So, they're probably working on a new engine, and that's why it's taking so long. Miles asks, are you still interested in playing Disgaea 4 or Zettai Hero Project, which is a PSP game? If so, do you plan on playing it either anytime soon? I don't have the time to play those games. I love the original Disgaea. It's one of my favorite PS2 games. I spent a lot of time playing it back in the day. I didn't play any of the other Disgaea games or any of these other NIS games. Even though I want to, I just don't have the time. I really, really, really wish I did. But I mean, I played pretty much one handheld game this year, and that's Tactics Ogre. I don't have time to play handheld games like I used to. And Disgaea 4, I mean, I wish I could, but there's just so much grinding in that game, and I don't have the time for it. Even though I love the first one, but I gotta finish a billion other games. Derek says, have you seen any footage or been hearing anything about Borderlands 2? I have seen Borderlands 2 behind closed doors presentation of it. We actually recorded an impressions video of it, and it should be up on YouTube, so look for it. Search for it. Joe asks, do you think that console gaming will eventually be absorbed into PC gaming? I don't really know what that means. But I'm going to say no. I will say that the consoles are becoming more and more like PCs these days with all this fucking patching and updating and like DLC and it feels like PC gaming kind of in a way, because it's not like the old school days where you just pop in a cartridge and play the game. But no, not entirely sure what that means, but I'm here to answer every question. Two more questions, I think. Chat name KK Piffy. KK Piffy says, what do you think Final Fantasy 15 should be? An MMO like 11 or 14, or an RPG like most of the series, or even a tactics game should be the main line of games? I don't know what it's going to be. What I want it to be, I definitely don't want it to be an MMO. I don't play MMOs. I think it's going to be just a regular old RPG with some things that are different, like 13. Not like 13, but it's going to be different, like 13 was from all the others, I think. Would I like it to be a tactics game? Yes. I love Final Fantasy Tactics. It's my favorite game ever. I would love to see Final Fantasy 15 to be a strategy RPG with lots of job classes and stuff. That would be sweet. And last question, and probably the weirdest question. This is from Toom, Toom. He says, I have a question about buying something. Should I buy Battlefield Bad Company Gold Edition, Left 4 Dead 2, or Crysis 2? Okay, well, I'm not a huge fan of Crysis 2. Left 4 Dead 2 is cool, but I imagine you've played the first one, which I think might be better. And Battlefield Bad Company. I'm going to say Battlefield Bad Company just because I think that game has a pretty cool campaign that's somewhat underrated, and I definitely think it's better than the other Bad Company campaigns, especially or Bad Company 2 or Battlefield 3. So maybe give that a shot. It should be cheap as hell. Anyways, that's it for Ask Brad for this week. I got a lot of questions. If you want me to answer your questions next week, go ahead and send me again an email with Ask Brad in the subject line. Make sure you put your name in the question. Try to keep them short, but try to keep them interesting. And I'll try to answer as many as I can, as fast as I can, and that's gonna do it. Later, guys.